Welcome to Silent Secrets. Today's story begins not with drama, not with shouting, not even with suspicion, but with something much quieter. An ordinary afternoon on our small, peaceful farm. The kind of day where the sun drapes itself across golden fields, the air hums softly, and everything feels simple, safe. But that calm, it didn't last long, because what started as a routine, day of chores and laughter between my husband and me, soon turned into a moment that would test the very core of our relationship. A moment that changed how I saw trust, love, and honesty forever. Part 1. The calm. Before, there's something about farm life that grounds you. The rhythm of the days never really changes, and somehow, that's what makes it beautiful. Mornings come with the scent of fresh hay, damp earth, and the soft sounds of animals waking to a new day. When I walk out of our little farmhouse, the wood creaks beneath my boots, the light stretches long shadows across the barn, and I can hear the gentle snorts from our horse, my horse, waiting patiently for me. We named him You. A strange name to some, but to us, it made sense. Because when I talked to him, it always felt like I was talking to a part of myself. He wasn't just livestock. He wasn't a tool for work. He was family. For years, You had been there, through storms and seasons, through laughter and tears, through every fight and every reconciliation. When the world felt too heavy, I'd rest my forehead against his neck, run my fingers through his mane, and let his calm breathing anchor me. Animals don't lie. They don't wear masks. They simply exist. And somehow, that's what makes their presence so healing. But that peace, that steady rhythm I loved, shattered one quiet afternoon, and it all began with a look in my husband's eyes. Part 2. The spark of something unsettling. My husband has always been a dreamer. He's the kind of man whose mind never rests, always jumping from one idea to another, chasing sparks of inspiration that sometimes burn bright and sometimes fizzle out before they begin. Most of the time, I admired that about him. His energy, his curiosity, his ability to find excitement in the ordinary. But that day, something about his excitement felt different. When he walked into the barn, there was a glint in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Sharp, determined, almost feverish. He carried his camera bag slung over his shoulder, his movements quick and focused, like someone with a plan. "I have an idea," he said, smiling in that half-playful, half-serious way he always did. I smiled back, expecting the usual. Maybe another video for social media. Maybe something funny or creative involving You. We'd filmed before, harmless little clips that made people smile. Nothing serious, nothing personal. But as he started explaining this new idea, my smile slowly faded. Because this time, it didn't sound harmless. This time, it sounded calculated. Part 3. The unease. He spoke quickly, almost too quickly, his words tumbling over each other. "This is going to be different," he said. "Something people haven't seen before. It's raw, it's emotional. People will feel it. At first, I couldn't even grasp what he meant. But as he described it, the setup, the angles, the idea of capturing something real and authentic, a strange tightness formed in my chest. He kept repeating the same phrase. "Trust me." And for years, that phrase had been enough, but in that moment, it didn't feel like reassurance. It felt like pressure. Behind him, the tripod was already standing. Little red light on the camera blinked faintly, meaning he had already started setting up before even talking to me. That realization hit harder than I expected. He'd planned this. He'd decided something involving me, without me. I looked over at You, who was standing silently nearby. His ears flicked, his eyes shifting between us. Even he could feel it. That invisible tension creeping into the room. Animals sense things we can't admit to ourselves. And deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Part 4, pressure behind the lens. Just act natural, he said. Do what you always do. Feed him, pet him, talk to him. Be yourself. It sounded simple enough, but nothing about it felt simple. I tried to smile, to relax, to pretend everything was fine. But the blinking, red light of the camera kept pulling at my focus like a thorn I couldn't ignore. The barn felt different now, heavier somehow. Dust floated through the rays of sunlight breaking, through the old wooden walls, each particle shimmering like a secret I didn't want uncovered. He adjusted the lighting. He adjusted the angle, and all the while I just stood there, trying to understand what exactly we were doing. What's this really about? I asked finally. He paused, smiled softly, and said the same 2 words again. Trust me. And that's when the weight settled in my stomach. Because real trust, the kind that takes years to build, doesn't need to be requested. It's earned. And in that moment, it felt like he was asking me to ignore my instincts. Part 5. The shift I was brushing Yu's mane when it happened, a sound so small, so insignificant. And yet, it changed everything, a faint click. I looked up sharply. The light on the camera changed. Not blinking red anymore. Now it was solid. That meant one thing. We were live. My pulse spiked. I turned toward him, my voice breaking. Wait, are we live right now? He didn't even meet my eyes. It's fine, he said quickly. Just keep going. You're doing great. But I wasn't doing great, because I hadn't agreed to this. He had made the choice for me, without asking, without warning. That realization sent a chill through my body. It wasn't just about the camera anymore. It was about consent. It was about trust. Part 6. Betrayal in real time. My voice trembled as I said his name. You went live without telling me. He finally looked up, and in that single glance, I saw the truth. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. He wanted that real reaction, that genuine emotion. Because in his mind, that's what made good content. Not understanding that what he was capturing wasn't a performance. It was my real life unraveling. My phone buzzed in my pocket. One message after another. Notifications lighting up my screen. People asking if everything was okay. If this was staged. But it wasn't staged. It was real. Too real. I felt the barn walls closing in. The space that used to be my sanctuary now felt like a cage, and the camera was the lock. He kept saying, "It's just a few minutes. People love authenticity." But authenticity shouldn't come at the cost of dignity. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. My hands were shaking, and you, my horse, sensed every bit of it. He shifted uneasily, his hooves scraping against the floor. Something in me broke. I walked straight toward the camera, ignoring his protests, and shut it off. The red light died. The silence that followed was deafening. He stared at me, shocked. "What are you doing?" I looked him in the eye and said quietly, "No." "The question is, what are you doing?" Part 7. The note I turned away, breathing heavily, trying to calm myself. I rested my hand on Yu's neck, needing the comfort of something pure. Something untainted. That's when I noticed it. Something tucked into his saddlebag, an envelope. Curiosity flickered. I pulled it out. It wasn't mine. My name was written on the front, in my husband's handwriting. Inside was a short note, just a few lines. But those lines changed. Everything. I know you saw the messages. Couldn't let it go public. This video had to distract them. I froze. Messages? What messages? When I turned back to him, his face had gone pale. "What does this mean?" I asked, my voice trembling. He hesitated, and that silence was louder than any confession. Finally, he whispered, "It's not what you think." I was trying to protect you. Protect me. From what? Part 8. The truth unravels. He sank down onto a hay bale, running his hands over his face. "There's something I've been keeping from you," he said. "Something that could ruin everything." I thought if I kept you busy, if I distracted you, maybe you wouldn't notice. The barn felt cold, suddenly. Like the warmth of all our years together had evaporated in an instant. I waited, heart pounding, as he began to explain. The details didn't even matter in the end. What mattered was that he had lied, not once, not twice, but for weeks. He had built this whole elaborate plan to cover it up, to make the live video a smokescreen, something that would draw attention away from the truth. I couldn't even process the words. All I could think was, the man I trusted most in the world didn't trust me back. Part 9. Silence and space. We didn't speak for a long time after that. The kind of silence that hums between two people who suddenly feel like strangers. That night, we sat across from each other in the kitchen, the clock ticking between us, and we finally talked, really talked, painfully, honestly. We agreed on one thing. We needed space, space to think, space to breathe, space to understand what trust meant anymore. Part 10. What remains weeks past. The farm went on as usual. The chores, the sunrise, the sound of Yu's gentle breathing. But inside me, something fundamental had changed. The video was never uploaded. He deleted it without argument. And in the quiet that followed, I realized something important. Not every story belongs online. Not every emotion should be packaged for views or validation. Some stories are sacred. Some moments are meant to stay within the hearts of those who lived them. Part 11. Lessons. Learned love isn't about perfection. It's about truth and trust. Once broken, doesn't rebuild overnight. It takes time. It takes humility. It takes choosing. Every single day, to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, when I walk through the barn and see you, I still rest my hand against his neck. But I think differently. I think about the lessons that day gave me, painful as they were,